All right, everybody, we have our crosshair working. We can actually shoot holes into the background. We need a ducky to shoot at, so we're going to work on our ducky next. You should already have the sprite for your duck, sprite duck. So I'll go ahead and close that. And I'm going to right-click on Objects and choose Create Object. I could also hold down the Alt key and type the letter O, excuse me, not the number 0. We're going to go ahead and name it Object _ duck. We're going to add our sprite. As you may recall, we already set the origin. We set a collision mask to be anywhere on the duck. Okay, so that gives us our duck. I'm going to go ahead and close this so we have a little bit more. One of the things we need to do is think about, okay, what is the duck going to do? The duck is going to move across the screen. We're going to deal with that on another tutorial. But as it moves across the screen, our job is to try to click it. And if we click it, it will give us some score, and the ducky should disappear. But the other thing is we're going to have the ducky disappear after 3 seconds. Okay, so we're not going to deal with movement for now. We're going to just deal with it appears for 3 seconds and then goes away. And while it's appearing, if you click it, it will then immediately disappear and add 10 to your score. Okay, so that's what we're going to do to the ducky. So we got to think through all the events. Okay, if we're going to do basically we want to do an alarm countdown, and that should begin when the ducky appears. That's the create event. So I click create, and now I'm going to hide this, and let's deal with what happens when we create the ducky. I'm going to move this over to the left a little bit, so if we got it. Okay, I don't see it, so we're just going to double click here. And by the way, now that I've used these, you can see some of the ones I've used in this and other classes. So I'm going to grab the alarm countdown and drag it over. I'm going to set it as alarm 0, right? So it's at this point, we only need one alarm, so we're going to do it here. We're going to do the countdown, and the countdown should be 3 times the frame rate. So you could do it one of 2 ways. If the frame rate is 30, you could just type in 90. That's 3 times the frame rate. The other way you could do it, it's kind of interesting, is you can think in terms of seconds. 3 seconds times, I'm sorry, not 60. 30. 3 times 30, which would be 3 times the number of frames per second. Okay, so, and I only do this because it's just kind of nice to think in terms of how many seconds do I want it to be. There's other ways we can deal with it. I could just type 90, it's simple math, not too hard. But you'll notice it's the ducky, it's create, set the alarm. Now this is just setting a countdown, okay? And remember, that's an action, that's something ducky does. But then, at some point, Ducky's alarm is going to go off, meaning Ducky has to die, which is kind of a sad, sort of depressing way to think of it. But that is what's going to happen, right? Ducky will disappear. It will be destroyed, right? But remember, and this is one way of thinking about events and actions, an action is something that the actual object will do as a result of an event. So the create event is when it appears, Ducky sets the timer. And Ducky will last for 3 seconds. So then, when that alarm goes off, that's a new event. That's something that happens during the course of a game. And there's an event called alarm, so we go to alarm 0. When the alarm goes off, we're going to get the destroy instance. I'm just going to drag it out. By default, destroy instance is set to self. Destroy yourself, okay? Or in this case, the ducky. The self is the ducky, okay? And it's an instance of the ducky, okay? So that's the first part. So the ducky will disappear. And let's add one more event, and that's when we click it. So we click add event, and we're going to click with the mouse. By the way, the mouse pad on the laptop works the same as the mouse, just so you know. So we're going to use a mouse, and we could do left down, which means while we're holding it down, or we can do left press, which is a one-time event when you press it. That's what we want. So you click add event, mouse, left press. Now, this means, because it's not the global left press, this means if we actually press on the collision mask of the ducky. It's very important for you to understand that. Okay? Standard left press only gets activated if you click on the collision mask. Keep that in mind. Then we're going to also destroy the instance. Ducky just got shot. Okay? When you left press. But we also want to add some points, right? So we want to add to the score of the game. So we need to click on score here. Score. And suddenly you see this thing, and you see what looks like a trophy with a pen or pencil underneath it. And it says draw instance score, draw an instance's score with a caption. Hold on. Set score, set the score variable on the instance. I might need to deal with this a little bit different. Let's test this first, and then I want to go somewhere. Because the thing that makes me pause is on set score, it says instance score. Well, the instance is that one ducky. That's not the score for the game. We have a problem. If we just set the score on the instance and we destroy it, score goes away with the ducky, right? All of Ducky's memories go too. Sorry, it's a very dark game, right? There's one last thing we're going to do to test the alarm on the ducky and the left press is we need to put Ducky in the room, okay? So we have our sprite, we have our object, but the object is no longer in the room, so we got to open up the room. Ooh, I never named the room here. That's bad. By the way, you're looking at, well, we'll deal with that later. For now, we got the room. In order to get Ducky into the room, we have to drag him onto the instance's layer. And make sure that's unlocked. It's unlocked. We're good. So I drag Duck out, and I put Ducky there. And let's drag a couple more ducks. And we'll put a duck up here, and a duck over here. Okay, so we're just going to test it out. Note, you drag the duck from objects, you drop them onto the instance's layer. Now we're going to run it. First of all, let's just run it. I'm going to try to click a duck. Uh-oh, what happened to the mouse cursor? Did you see what happened there? The mouse cursor was under the duck. That's a problem. We're going to need to fix that as well. Okay, but you'll notice the duck went away when I clicked it. Okay, so that we have a change. I'm going to go ahead and commit my changes at this point. Adding Ducky part 1. So I want to get bash open and add that. I'm going to get bash. And I'm going to do a git add dot git commit dash m adding. Wait a minute. I probably shouldn't have done it that way. I already pulled from my online repository, but adding Ducky version 0.1. Wow. Ducky, alarm, mouse, all that stuff gets added. It's been committed. Okay. I'm going to try to push it to the repository. Git push origin master, and then save my changes. Push it through. Good. No problem there. All right. Next step of the Ducky is get those crosshairs to appear on top. In order for us to do this, we're going to have to actually work on the crosshair object. So I'm going to double click on the crosshair object. And what we need to do is we're going to basically, for our crosshair, we're going to turn it into what's called a GUI element. A GUI element stands for Graphical User Interface. And the graphical user interface is really all about putting information for the user. They're not actual game objects in that they don't, a GUI object is not necessarily going to move around and collide with other things, whatever. The GUI object is actually designed to show us information about the game. So that would be like your heads-up display on a video game. Or in the case of like score, you might do score as a GUI. We'll get to that because we do need to deal with score. And so for now, we have the crosshair. If we turn the crosshair and we draw the sprite as a GUI element, then it will appear above everything else. So that's how we deal with the crosshair being in the background. So I'm going to click Add Event, and this time it's the Draw event, and I'm going to do Draw GUI. Draw GUI. Remember, that's Graphical User Interface. And then all I need to do is draw itself. That's it. So I'm going to double click here, and I'm going to type draw. And there was draw self. draw this instance's sprite. Because it's Draw GUI, it's drawn on top of everything else. So let me just close it so you can see what's going on. And hold on a second. Well, let's just test it. And let's see if the crosshair goes in front of the, hey, look, it's in front of the ducky, and it's easier. So when I click it, you see it go away, and you see the hole behind it, which is what it should look like. So at this point, that's working. And let me just close this for a moment and just double click on that one more time so you can see it. So it's the object crosshair. It is the draw GUI event, and it's draw self. Okay, so that's how you get that. So at this point now, crosshair clicks the ducky. Crosshair is on top of the ducky. Ducky disappears after 3 seconds. We're at a good stopping point. So I'm going to save my changes, commit the changes, and push to the repository. And then my next video, I will cover how to deal with score. And I'm actually going to have to do a little research on my own to figure that out. Okay, and then I'll come back to you on that. And so let's just go ahead. I'll wrap this up by just doing this last part here. Git add dot, git commit -m, fixing crosshair, position, ducky. All right. Now I've committed everything. Now I'm going to push to the repository, git push origin master. I'm going to save my changes. Everything looks good. Now that I've done, I pushed everything and I'm done working for the day. I'm going to type git, or no, I'm just going to type exit and exit out. Okay, everything's up to date. I got all my files. Thank you for watching.